Hello and welcome, fellow Spartans, and I am here today with some preview footage of Total War Attila. This is a preview build which was very kindly sent over to me by Creative Assembly, and with that I can now show you some footage of the game. So come next month in February, when it's released on the 17th, hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better idea of what to expect from the game, and hopefully I can show you some features that you may not be aware about, or if you are, you can go into a bit more detail with them on this video today. So there's two videos. There's this one which I'm going to show you the campaign map and the features of the campaign map, etc. And then there's another video which is in the description which will actually showcase to you an actual battle and show you the mechanics of the battlefield on Total War Attila. This preview build has given us access to 4 factions: the Ostrogoths, the Eastern Roman Empire, the Sassanid Empire, just have to think about that one for a second, and then the Saxons. Yeah, so there's 4 that are available to us to showcase to you all. I'm going to firstly go through the factions now, those 4 factions on the menu screen in a second, talk to you a bit about their traits, starting locations, etc. And then from then, we'll go onto the campaign map as the Eastern Roman Empire and have a look at the actual features of that in a second. So before we go onto the actual faction selection screen, I just wanted to quickly show you this menu main screen that you've got in front of you now, and hopefully this will be on the final build. Obviously, as I say, this is a preview build, so things are always subject to change. It obviously still is in development at the studios, but I'm sure this will be on the final release because it looks absolutely fantastic. It really does depict that apocalyptic style feel to it. Obviously Attila's army and hordes are just riding through the lands, causing absolute havoc and devastation along its way, and I think it looks beautifully captured with this menu screen. Look at the devastation, the city's on fire in the background, there's hordes riding in the foreground. As I say, it looks beautiful, and I just wanted to show you that before we went on to the faction selection screen. So we'll be back in a second and we'll quickly have a look at those 4 factions that are available on the preview build. Okay guys, so here we go. This is the faction selection screen, and as you can see I've selected the Saxons to start with. I like what CA have done with this, especially the centre there where you've got the preview of the soldier, so it gives you a nice flavour and feel to the faction you're selecting. On the right hand side you've got the starting map, and the map with their starting location on. As well, the initial challenge. Note that the Saxons is normal. I can assure you though the Roman Empire factions are a lot harder than that, but we'll go into that in a second. So that's sort of a preview on the right hand side. Left hand side you've got obviously information about their faction, so you can see the religion is Germanic paganism, and as you know probably already, the religion plays a much bigger part on Total War Attila than it did probably on Rome 2. A lot of different religions having their effect on the game, and obviously you have to manage them a lot more effectively than you would have done previously, so that is a major play. So it is important to note what religion your faction represents, and of course I will show you a little bit later on some features about what you can do religion as well, so bear that in mind. Looking further down, obviously you've got some information about the factions at hand. You've got then some traits specifically for those factions you're selecting. So we can see here with the Saxons, it's new kingdoms. So nations are merely lines on a map. The true kingdom is endless. And with these guys, building conversion rate of minus 50%. So you can, as you can see, obviously the Saxons are going to be a faction, are going to pillage and conquer land and sack settlements, and obviously just destroy everything in its path basically as a faction. And especially around this area where it's going to be obviously the Latin cultural Western Roman Empire regions, things like that, their influence will be massive around here. So that is a nice trait to have. Building conversion rate minus 50, so that means that obviously when you do loot and sack these settlements that you conquer, to convert them takes 50% less to do so. So that's a really nice advantage to have as a player. Obviously benefits this faction massively and your playstyle probably. Saxon shore. The oceans and the fields will burn with waves of flame and blades of fire. So you can see here, Saxon shore, income 100 for every 10% damage caused to settlements. So the more damage you cause, the more money you get from them. Wow, I like that. Combine that with the minus 50% conversion rate, that's quite good. And then integrity, +4 when raiding, so that's your army's integrity. And again, I'll go into that a little bit more detail when we go into the campaign map, but that gives you, or that will give the army that is raiding more integrity, and obviously it will help with their battle morale, etc. So raiding is a definite handy thing to do with the Saxons. So here we go with the Eastern Roman Empire, and you can see on the right hand side the land control that they have at the start is huge, and obviously that's why it sort of offers the initial challenge of very hard. So this is probably going to be that combined with the Western Roman Empire. These two are going to be probably the hardest and most challenging factions that Total War have had for a long time in previous titles, basically. So it's going to offer the player a massive initial challenge to start with. On the right hand side, these guys are Greek Christian, and you can see their imperial allegiance is a cultural trait, so they can levy units from hordes passing through Roman territory. So that could be fantastic to use. I don't know if that would be that the fact you can actually levy units from the horde, take the actual units away from that horde and put it into your army, or it just gives you the option to be able to recruit that type of unit that's in the horde into your army. If it does actually mean that it takes that unit away from the army and literally takes them away and puts into yours, that'd be fantastic, because if they are an aggressive enemy horde, well, that's benefiting you massively. I don't think it probably would be. I probably think it'd just be, it gives you the option to levy units and recruit them from the hordes and not actually take them away from the hordes, because as I say, that could be a massive plus for you. You could get rid of you could decimate their army by levying them all the time. But what it is good for is obviously it offers you as a player a lot more variation in troops, so you can actually deploy different types of troops to the battlefield, which could complement your battle style better. It could give you more options in terms of tactics that you can employ on the battlefield. So a nice feature there. I really like that, and it'd be interesting to see how that one plays out. And then the faction trait is economic powerhouse. Straddle the crossroads of the world and take pick of everything that passes by. So we've got 50% from trade tariffs. Obviously that probably is based itself on the fact that Constantinople, being the capital of this faction of the Eastern Roman Empire, had a huge amount of wealth because of trade coming through it in terms of goods and wares that were available passing through as well. So that would probably lend itself to the reason why trade tariffs are 50% extra with the Eastern Roman Empire. And as well, we've got income, so 5% interest on treasury at the end of turn. So that's a nice little boost to your treasury at the end of each turn by giving an extra 5% of interest to the treasury. So really nice to have those in place to help fund this massive empire that the Eastern Roman Empire have obviously got. Now, just before we go on to the next faction, I just wanted to quickly show you as well, and I didn't show you this with the Saxons, but I'll give you as an idea on this faction, is the victory objectives. Now, you can select different types, or there's different ones available to you. I don't know if you can select which one you want to go for, basically each ones you want to hit. There's minor victory, and then you've got military or cultural victory as those two as options, or you can go even further, and now we've got something called a divine triumph, like an ultimate end goal objective. If you want to really push this faction on, so you have to take more settlements and basically subjugate more, maintain control of more provinces and things like that. So it's like an ultimate victory condition, basically, as a divine triumph. Now, in the campaign that I will be doing on my channel, obviously as a Let's Play series, I'll be doing 3, and one of those will be either as the Eastern or the Western Roman Empire. You guys will obviously choose that in a faction vote video, but one of those will definitely be as a Western or as Eastern, so you guys will be doing that as a vote. So I'm looking forward to seeing which ones you choose, but both of them will be extremely hard to manage from the start, I can assure you. So here we go. This is a Sassanid Empire, and this is the latest line of the Great Persian Empire, which is in Rome too, of course. And you can see on the right hand side, they control directly a large landmass in the east, on the very east side of the campaign map. But as well, these lighter red areas represents the puppet states that they have under their control as well from the Great Persian Empire. So you can see here they've got quite a lot of control at the very start of the game, and again you can see here initial challenge then does lend itself for this faction to be easy. Now, looking on the left hand side again, the cultural trait is Grand School. So knowledge is not power, but it is the bedrock upon which power is built. Sanitation. Now, sanitation is a big factor to manage in this game, because sanitation directly affects disease, which is again more of a player on this game than it was on Rome 2. Sometimes in Rome 2 you would get plagues that will rise up in your armies, but that was about it. However, now disease can erupt within cities. That disease can then spread across your lands and directly go into your armies, which will then directly affect the numbers of your army. So attrition would be massively affected by disease hitting that army. So sanitation is a big player. The higher the sanitation in your cities, the better chance you have got of stopping any disease rising up. Now the Sassanids do lend themselves to be apparently a very clean faction, so sanitation is something that's quite good with the Sassanids. Other factions probably not, so that would make it that disease has a lesser chance of rising up in their cities. So, you know, obviously, as well as sanitation, as well as disease hitting their armies and causing attrition to those numbers, it could obviously, as I said, rise up in a region, which will then have a massive public order effect, and of course a massive drop in population as well, and as I say, growth and development of that region going forward. So it is a really big factor to manage, as I say, and you've got to be really careful. So sanitation has to be managed accordingly in that way. So King of Kings faction trait: the Shah with a watchful eye observes, controls and exacts. Income 200% tribute from puppet states. So these puppet states over here will give them an extra 200% income each turn from tribute. So that's a really nice trait to have at the start of this game, massively. And as well, puppet state levies. So +3 of each type of levy unit. So you can get units from your puppet states, and if you can control later on in the game more puppet states, you'll be able to levy those units from them puppet states into your army as well. So a nice, again, very much like the Roman Empire, you can levy units from passing hordes. You can do it from your puppet states with the Sassanids, so it gives you again more of a variation for your unit types and army builds if you can to play as this faction. Okay, then finally we've got the Ostrogoths as the last of the 4 factions that you can play on the preview build. So these guys are, as it says there, a horde faction. So these are going to be a faction that they're on the move. They're constantly moving their regions and their capital cities, pushing across lands to try and expand, to move on, to gain more income, to loot, and to just cause more havoc across their enemies, basically. So they're always on the move. A very mobile faction, I believe these are. So this gives the player a much different element to Total War than they probably have been used to for a lot of the other previous titles. So this is a nice different element, different style of gameplay for a player to utilise, and a different experience entirely. The initial challenge, though, because of this horde style faction, does then lend itself to be as a initial challenge of hard. So this will be an extremely difficult probably faction to start off with. Now this religion is Aryan Christianity, and the cultural trait for these is a great migration, as I was been saying to you before. The wise move, the desperate move often, the mighty survive and prosper. So growth 25 plus when initiating a migration or resettling. So that will increase the population growth in their regions and obviously expand their regions and developments if they resettle or migrate. Inheritors of Rome. Civilization may shift and change, but the eternal city remains. No instability when occupying settlements from Roman factions, faction-wide. Now these guys did have, I believe, a sort of connection with the Romans, and then with time went on, things became tense and things like that, but I think they had a lot of influence from the Romans within them, so that's why there's no instability, I believe, when occupying settlements from Roman factions. That influence is still there. They can recruit Roman units as well in settlements they can recruit Roman units in settlements with Roman military buildings. So if you take a settlement of a Roman region, that region has a Roman military building there, they can recruit units from those buildings. Fantastic, because obviously when you take say in Rome 2, when you took a building from another faction, obviously that building in that region was a different culture. You could not obviously recruit units from that military building. You couldn't utilise it at all. But this, with the Ostrogoths, you can if that building in a region is Roman, or a military building is Roman in a region. So that's a nice, again, feature to have. Different style of gameplay. So every type of faction is going to be very different to you to play as and offer you a much different experience. So there you go, guys. They are the 4 factions that were available to us on the preview build. It gives us a nice flavour and different experience with all the 4. And it gives you guys a nice indication of what to expect come next month with the different factions. I mean, these are only 4 factions. There's a large number. There's about another 7 or 8 that you can play as, obviously, on the game. Even probably more if you've got the Viking Forefathers pack as well. So with that, you're going to get so much more variation and depth to your gameplay with other factions. It's going to be fantastic for that experience for you. So I hope you've enjoyed that little preview to start with. What I'll do now is I'm going to move on to the campaign map as the Eastern Roman Empire, and I'll show you some of the features that the actual campaign map has to offer. Okay, guys, so here we are with the campaign map for Total War Attila. So before we go on to the features and give you an overview of the changes that have occurred on this game, I just thought I'd quickly scroll along the campaign map just to give you guys a bit of a feel and better overview of what the map is like on Total War Attila. And you can see I'm scrolling around here and it's quite smooth. There's no frame rate drops or lag at all as I'm going along the different regions here. And I've only got a GTX 770. I've got an i7, but it's not the best i7 you can get out on the market. So, you know, it's not the best computer that's available by any means. And it's very smooth. And the graphics settings I've got set up on the game, most of them are at ultra. I think a few at the very least are at high, second level down. But apart from that, everything is set up to be top-end settings on this game. And as I say, very smooth indeed. So that's a credit to CA. They seem to have optimised this game already. This is only a preview build, so maybe the final release will get even more optimised before we actually get it available to us next month in February. So yeah, as I say, all credit to CA there. Optimisation seems to be very nice on this game already. Now, just zooming in a little bit further to the campaign map, you can see visually that the regions on the game are beautifully represented to us on this version on the game. Probably better than any other Total War to date, I think, because you can already see the lighting effects are a lot, or have been improved massively on Attila, because you can straight away feel that when you move up to Britannia, for example, you can straight away visually see it's wet, it's cold, it's bleak, it's fog everywhere, and that is very apparent and beautifully shown to us. And I say it's a beautiful transition. Say if you go down to North Africa, for example, the desolate land that's in front of you, the desert land, the harshness of the desert is again very much clear to see. The light shining from the sun onto the desert and back at you is very visible as well. So they've really captured the different types and climates in regions on this game beautifully. So yes, I think probably the nicest looking campaign map they've done to date and beautifully represented to us. So yeah, I thought I'd quickly show you guys that so you got a better feel for it for when you get it next month. So as I say, I'm going to go through with you some of the overview and some of the features of what the game will have to offer to us. Before we go into that, I'm going to end a turn. The reason why I'm going to end a turn is because during the end turn phase, some generals will get traits and things like that, and it'll be easy to show you those traits and things like that and how that is represented in the game, obviously, if we do end a turn. So I'll be back in a second, guys, and then we'll look through the features once that's been done. Okay, guys, during the end turn phase, I want to just quickly show you this. This is sort of a new feature to this game. Armenia have actually offered me a wife to my faction heir. They are demanding 520 gold for me doing that. However, arranging a marriage obviously has benefits because it will strengthen our relations with Armenia, for one. But two, this wife will obviously then marry into my family, marry my faction heir, which obviously will then hopefully mean that it will have children. And as well, hopefully the faction wife will offer my general, or the faction heir, some benefits, I hope, and we'll look at that in a little bit further detail in just a while. So yes, I thought I'd quickly show you this before we finish the end turn phase. So I'm going to obviously accept it, and then we'll see what happens. Okay guys, so the end turn has finished, and there's some event messages that I'll be going through with you in a second. One of those is an incident that's happened. This is a new thing that seems to be added onto this game, and that's mercenary influx. Driven by tales of glory and riches, a large number of mercenaries have flocked to your land. So it's giving us for 3 turns an improved contact with mercenary groups, is helping to increase their availability. So the mercenary pool replenishment is giving us an extra 45% for local faction mercenaries. So we have now got more mercenary units at our disposal for the next 3 turns. Nice feature. So guys, we've got these event messages on the right hand side. So we've encountered the faction of the Saxons. War declared between us and the Gepids, which they declared war during the end turn phase. We've got some traits gained. Famine now is consuming our lands because our food is completely down the drain. Man is 29. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a second. So people are starving in our lands now. So you can see already the almighty challenge you've got as the Eastern Roman Empire. Just the one end turn has caused absolute devastation. Food shortage, yeah, at Dardania. War coordination, because obviously we have now got war with the Gepids. Our allies will be available to help us against us. And then we've got that mercenary influx with the incident. Okay, right, so that's that. Now, during the end turn phase, we had the Ostrogoths sack that settlement. The Visigoths cause carnage over here as well. So, as I say, end turn 1 has caused massive problems. So let's go into the details now and go into a bit more further detail about what, as I say, has been changed in Total War Attila. So on the surface, the interface looks very similar, doesn't it, to Rome 2? But it's the more refined aspects that are being changed, and therefore it's going to give you as a player, I feel, a lot more of an enriching an enjoyable experience. You can see here that these sections here very similar, aren't they? So your objectives, you've got your chapter objectives like you did have in the previous Rome 2, and different bonus objectives at your disposal. So they're exactly the same, as well as your main objectives, which we touched on before we came onto this campaign map. Treasury, again, very similar. Trade, summary, taxes, etc. all the same there, so that's fine. Okay guys, this is the technology tree. So this has been a lot more streamlined, I feel, than Rome 2, because in Rome 2 you'd have your main 2 categories of civic and military, but then you'd have 3 subcategories, so you had to keep flicking between them. In Total War Attila, it's always, as I say, it's all at your fingertips, it's all here in front of you under one screen, a lot more streamlined in that aspect, so it's easier to manage and control than it was before. So the aspect and the mechanics of the technology tree is very similar as it was previously, but as I say, it's a lot more streamlined and visually better represented to you, I feel. So you can obviously go through your research points accordingly. So when you research that one, for example, that will unlock those 2, and then you research that one, it'll unlock that one, breaks off to that. So you obviously progress through the technology trees accordingly, and obviously once you've researched all of the technologies under one tier, that unlocks the bonus for that tier, and then obviously that one and that one. So the more you progress, the more bonuses you unlock by completing those tiers, basically. So that's all, as I say, under one screen, a lot easier to manage and control, definitely. So this is the diplomacy screen, and there has been some changes on Attila from Rome 2, and I'm going to go through those with you now in a bit more detail. You've seen the screen already when the Armenians offered me their proposed wife for my faction during the end turn phase, but I'm going to go into it a bit more detail now. So first you can expand the known factions window, so you can actually see more factions, an overview now, which is great, and you can filter and sort things by different subjects. So trade, you can filter all the factions you have trade with at the top, so you can straight away see which factions you're trading with, filter them by, or sort them by attitude, treaties that they've got with you, regions that they can control, and this one as well is very important, the strength rank. So basically each faction on the game now is ordered by strength. So the more regions and armies a faction control and own, the higher they will be up the strength rank. So as you can see, the next faction, the top faction on the game is the Western Roman Empire. We will be probably second, and then the Sassanid Empire is third, Franks fourth, Huns fifth, sixth and seventh. We probably don't know who they are. We haven't discovered them as a faction, and so on and so on. So that's quite interesting and a nice factor to have in place, because it makes you think about what deals you want to have with other factions, because you could think to yourself, okay, these guys are a strong faction. These are going to be a faction that we have to pay attention to. Do we want to be going to war with them? Probably not. Can we get non-aggression with them? Can we get any deals with them of any aspect? We'd have to find out. As well, with that strength rank, if they are a lot stronger than us as a faction, them getting non-aggression with us will probably be not very likely, because they'd probably not listen to us as a faction because we are down the listings and things like that. Obviously, with us being the Eastern Roman Empire in this version of this campaign itself, then we'll probably have a lot of influence against other factions in the game. But if we were a smaller faction like the Saxons, for example, then our influence against other factions will be probably a lot harder to deal with, basically. So there you go. So just want to quickly show you that screen as well, just so you got an idea of what's changed. And I like the fact that on this as well, each faction has got a little bit of an overview of their sort of their characteristics, basically. So strength ranking 3, we know that from here. Reliability, so they are reliable, they're defensive, they're traditionalist, passive, and indifferent with empire. So again, those factors can have an influence on how you want to deal with that faction in terms of diplomacy. You know, if they are an expansionist, very aggressive faction, for example, like the Huns, you probably won't get any dealings with them. You're most likely not going to get a non-aggression with them or any type of alliance or peace with them at all. So that would have to play into your hands, or that could go against you. You decide, you have to work that out, basically. So again, those factors have to be managed accordingly. So a nice little, again, change to the game now. So that's the 4 little tabs at the bottom. So nice subtle changes have been implemented there. If we go to the strategic overview, very much like Rome 2, however, now we can filter out a lot of different factors in the game again. So you can filter out things like just looking at military force filters. So you can see where military forces are across the regions. So you can see here there's 2 of the Visigoth armies here, or the Ostrogoths, sorry. And then the Visigoths are here. So these are enemies of ours, and they're in our land. So we can see that by filtering it on and off. And all the allies of the Western Roman Empire over here. So you can see all the available military forces on the game. Agent filters, so you can see where agents are in the game. There's none at the moment. Settlement filters, all the settlements on the game. If there's any sieges occurring on the game, so any settlements that are under siege, they will have like a cross sword icon across their area of the map where the siege is occurring. Resource filters, you can see exactly which regions contain which resources. Some regions obviously don't contain any, but if they did, they'd be indicated with these icons on the campaign map here, which is good. And you can really go into a lot of detail with very specific factors and indicators on the game. So you can see faction ownership, diplomatic status. So you can see obviously the Western Roman Empire are allies. We've got enemies over here, etc. Obviously the Visigoths aren't in red because they actually haven't got a settlement at the start of the game, so that's why they are not red, because they don't own a region at all. Attitude towards us, region wealth, so that's interesting. You could that could influence how you plan your expansions on the game, because you want to try and target wealth or regions that have got high wealth in them. You can then subcategorize them as well to different types of wealth. Again, really nice. Public order. Region growth, massive to improve your own factions. Now again, religion. As I said to you before we started the campaign off, religion has a major influence on this game. So you can see all the different types of religions on the game now and what their percentage of influence are in each region. So obviously, you can see there a lot of regions have different mixed religions on the game, which is going to happen. You know, you're not going to have a region, definitely not going to have a region that's going to be 100% one faith. There's going to be a lot of other factors and different religions under one region. So you can see all the different types there. So that has a major influence on you as a player, because it can affect public order massively, what building types you'll build and things like that. So again, you have to manage that really effectively. And this screen helps you with that basically really well. Sanitation, as I said, big play on this game now, stops disease and things like that from occurring, so you want to have a nice high sanitation region. It's clean and it's disease free, because you don't want to incur any disease in your land if you can avoid it. Immigrants, I don't know much about immigrants yet, so that's a nice, probably interesting feature we'll see more of as the game progresses. Food, and then fertility. So fertility is important, obviously, because the more high the fertility is, the more wealth you're going to get from a region and things like that. So that's important to manage as well and to review. So that's the overview screen of that. At the top here, we've got some nice indicators at our disposal. We've got our income in the treasury, income per turn as well. So we can see straight away our income and our expenses minus those gives us an income per turn of 1909. And yeah, obviously that's our current treasury. Now food is massively in the red here. There's a big problem with food at the moment. So you can see that's breaking it down where the problems are lying. So buildings is taking away 380 of our food. Fertility is 364, so that's giving us 364 to our food, but then the hordes in our provinces is taking 10 away, and then devastation from battles is taking 3 away. So the food we're producing from our land is not enough to keep up with buildings that are taking food away, as well as hordes in our provinces and devastation. So we need to basically work on that and get that back up to speed as soon as possible by producing more agricultural land and things like that to improve the fertility in our regions. This is obviously the time of the year, so you can obviously the seasons are back in the game straight away, which is nice. So you can see we're in the summer season at the moment. Rome 2 has seasons as well, but that wasn't in the game at the very start. So again, it's nice to see that seasons are in this game from the very beginning, which is nice. Obviously that's a year. Again, our traits, our cultural traits and faction traits are power and balanced. Our religion, imperium, famine obviously is occurring at the moment because of our minus food problem. So actually occurring is a food shortage, so that's producing famine, which is obviously, as it says there, minusing replenishment. Integrity of our armies is dropping and things like that. So it's causing us a lot of problems. So we need to get that food surplus, our food shortage back up and into a positive situation as soon as we can, basically. And in mercenary contacts, as we know, has been an incident that's occurred during the end turn phase, and that has helped for 3 turns. That will be there showing us that mercenary pool replenishment is 45% up. So any events that happen will be at our disposal in the top menu screen there. So again, really nice to see that as a change to this game. So let's go onto the faction tree, and here we go. Family tree is back. Great to see, and it's going to give the player, I feel, a lot more of a story to their campaigns. They're going to be feeling that they can control things a lot better, have an influence on things a lot better, and make it the campaign an epic journey and have some backbone story behind it. Makes the generals mean something more to them than they probably would have done before. So let's have a quick look and see how that all plays out in the game. So firstly, as we said before, Armenia offered us a wife to our faction heir. We accepted the deal, and you can see here now she's on the family tree. And a nice little indicator there saying the character has joined your family from the following faction, Armenia. So that's nice to see that it's shown us which faction has given us this lady or this wife for our faction heir. So this is our faction heir. Here you go. Here he is. That's our faction leader. You can see indicated by the gold crown there, and then the faction heir's got a silver crown above him. So he can do various things, various actions at his disposal. So if there's more than one available faction heir, say there's 2 or 3 generals, say there's 2 or 3 family members here, we could actually take the faction heir away from him, click on another one, and then assign that to them, so they could be the family heir as opposed to him. Obviously, that would actually affect his loyalty massively, but you can obviously change if you wanted to do so. So here we've got diminished popularity, but plot to discredit another character. So we can click on that and then discredit him if you wanted to do so. You can cancel that, so you don't have to do it, but you can do. You can attempt to assassinate him. So you've attempted to assassinate him. So during the end turn phase, that will then try to be carried out. If it's a success, you'll be told. If it's a failure, you'll also be told as well. And obviously, either way, you could have effects on your family and your character as a result. This is quite a good one as well. Where is it? Adopt. So you could adopt one of these guys who's of the other families into your family. So you quite like them. They were a successful general. They were very good, and they were having a lot of success on the battlefield, or winning many a battle with their army. You think, well, these could be a good asset to our family. Let's try and adopt him. And then you click on their character, and then during the end turn phase again, it will try and see if they could adopt them into your family. So a lot of things there, as well as a feature called Become Retainer. And with this retainer option, you can't do it at the moment because there's no people we can set as retainer. No, there isn't. No. But what it is, so basically if these two had a son, and this son wasn't a general, he wasn't a governor, he had no real traits or skills to him, but you wanted to utilise him down the line, what you could do is click on that character, click on Become a Retainer, then click on maybe the factionaire, or maybe the emperor as well, or the faction leader I should say, and then what would happen is that character would learn off the teacher and would gain skills from them, gain abilities from them. So in the future, they could become an effective general down the line, sort of a general in waiting, someone who could give your faction some benefit to them or to you later on down the line, but not at the moment. So it's quite a handy thing to have. They could become someone very powerful and someone very handy to have once they've been trained by their teacher, basically. So a really nice feature to have in place as well, definitely. So you can secure loyalty. So say for example one of these guys, so basically let me show you, each character has a loyalty indicator. So the best one he can get is 5, so he's 10. So this guy is 5 out of 10. So if his loyalty starts to waver, you could actually try and secure it by doing this to secure loyalty. So again, during the end turn phase, we'll try and see if that character will secure his loyalty. Loyalty can be affected by things like, say you could give this guy, you assigned him to your office and made him a military count, which gives you bonuses obviously accordingly to the screen there. But then you did the end-turn phase, and then you took him away and kicked him out of office. That would affect his loyalty because you've obviously taken him away out of the office, and you've questioned his ability. So that in turn will question his loyalty to you and the faction. And if his loyalty goes to 0, obviously that general will rebel, and that will incur a civil war. So if you are concerned about any generals that are starting to waver their loyalty, you can try and secure them by doing that little event there, that secure loyalty event there. You can also assassinate people, you can obviously divorce people, etc. So lots of things you can do. Arrange marriages, embezzle funds, seek a wife, gather support. So all these things are available to you and will play out. So again, that adds so much because it really gives the family and your faction a story behind it. You know, you'll remember things that have occurred. You'll think, oh, this general he's a right bugger, he's caused me such trouble, or he's assassinated everyone under the sun, or he's trying to embezzle funds, he's trying to divorce and remarry every 5 seconds, things like that. So it's really good. It really gives a bit of flavour and a bit of character behind everyone. So I like it. It really is nice to see. So on the right hand side, obviously, as I said, I'll show you already, you've got your offices, so you can assign people to be military counts, etc. like that. And obviously, as they increase in abilities in the battlefield, they can then go further up and obtain higher positions in office. And the higher the position in office, the more benefits they give them as a general, and directly then affects their army as well. So really nice again to see that as a factor in place. Again, governors as well. So these are already governors. This is why they're all greyed out. But these are statesmen. They aren't generals at all at the moment. They aren't governors, nothing. So we can assign them to governors of different provinces. For example, let me leave Cappadocia for a second. So these 3 are now governors of in those available regions here. Now Cappadocia hasn't got a governor at the moment. I think Cappadocia's here. Where's Cappadocia? I can't remember where Cappadocia is. Oh, Cappadocia's... I can't remember where Cappadocia is. Oh, fine. Let me go onto the menu map a second. Oh, Cappadocia's there, of course. Should have known that for my Armenia Let's Play and Galatia Let's Play. So you can see here, Cappadocia, I can't issue an edict at the moment. However, come back on here, click on that, assign him to the Cappadocia as the governor of them. Go back on, and now I can issue an edict. So you have to have a governor in place in order to issue an edict. So we can issue anything there. Different types of edicts are available to us. May as well go for food production plus 20. We definitely need to look at food production, so we'll definitely go for that. And that will increase growth as well. So issuing an edict or having a governor is massive because it gives you massive abilities or massive bonuses in terms of being able to issue edicts. So having governors is very important indeed. So there you go. That's how you assign governors to your regions. There's still regions that haven't got governors because we haven't got enough generals or statesmen available to us at the moment in time. What I can also do is, with this factionaire, is actually raise him as a general. As you can see there, Flavinus Rufinus, raise him in an army. He's now actual general in the battlefield. So there you go. He's there available as a playable general in the game as well. So that's good. So that's the family tree. And all the different types of governors and officers you can do from within that, and all the events you've got, all the intrigue and political events you've got at your disposal as well. Now there is a shortcut to a couple of things as well you can click on. So you've got the zoom to location, which will take exactly to where the general is situated on the map, which is handy to have. As well, you can look at the details of the character's information here. But we'll go do that in a second. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, so this is a summary screen. It's very much like Rome 2 in a lot of ways. Obviously, you've got your Imperium, your diplomacy. Nice, again, the figure of the faction leader in the centre there. You've got your details there of your capital, etc., provinces owned, etc. as well. Your traits, as we looked at before. But this is a real big thing here, religion. Now, as I said to you, religion's a major player on this game. And you can see here at a glance all the different types of religion that are across your region. So there's obviously multiple religions that are in place and are existing in your region. So they are having a direct influence on your religion overall. So you can see we are a Greek Christian faction. However, that is on the decline at the moment because of all the different religions that are having an effect on our regions. So you can see that this religion is on the rise. Greco-Roman paganism, that's staying the same. But this change could eventually mean that Greek Christianity could be on the downfall massively, and B, that it's not the major religion in our factions anymore. That would then probably mean that public order would get very, very severe. So what we can do is convert to the more dominant religion going forward across the faction, and then by doing that, that would probably stop any public order problems we had that was rising up. So that's a real big gameplay change, I think, to Attila. It has a lot of depth, has a lot of factors to the game, and it really influences your style of play a lot, I think. It makes you think about a lot of things that you have to manage there. So I like that a lot. It's really nice to see that on this game. So Records has been changed a little bit as well now. It's had a little bit of an improvement to it. And it's nicely implemented, this is, because I think this could have been quite handy to have in Rome 2, because in Rome 2 you had a list of all your records and you used to go down them in date order, but now you can actually filter them by category and then subcategory, which is really nice to have. So you wanted to actually only look at one specific thing in your event feed, you can actually filter that now. So you can take all these out, for example, and then all you'd have left is provincial activity. So you can see here we've still got something showing here that there's a food shortage in Dardania. So we could actually then look at provincial activity. So we've filtered it by that, but then we could sub-filter it. So we could look at it by buildings, provincial crises, and that. So you can see, right, okay, there's a plague. Is there any plagues happening? Oh, yes, there is. Few there. And that's occurring, and that's causing the provincial crisis as well. So you can link up things together by subcategorizing different events and things like that. So really nice to have. Makes managing things, again, a lot better on the game. So I like the fact you can now categorize them and subcategorize them. And then the statistics is very similar. No change there to probably Rome 2 and how that was implemented, because that worked fine. So why change it? It looks nice and gives a lot of information to us as a player there. So that's great to see. So let's have a look now at the overview of the general and the army. So when you click on an army, you can do it via the family tree as well. You can click on the general there and click on that, view character details that way. But you can also do it by clicking on the army and then looking at it this way. So general details, and it brings up the character screen once more. So really nice again, all under one screen, a lot more streamlined than it was before. So you can see a lot of information at your fingertips. I'm going to try and see actually. I'm going to go onto our factionaire because he's got a wife, hasn't he, which will show on the screen here. So the reason why you can see there the wife is available to us on the screen. So as I said, very much more streamlined than it was before, and you've got all these sort of different individual household items which will have an influence on your general as well. They aren't available at the moment because we haven't really gone through enough turns yet for these items to become available. Once you do though, you can click on the plus icon and select different items which will have an influence and hopefully provide bonuses to your general, which will then in turn feed into your army as well. And they are then summarised in the effects summary here. So this wife, if you hover over there, is giving us two things. A personal influence is +2 per turn. However, she is corrupt, so she's giving him +5 corruption when the husband is governing. Well, he's not governing at the moment, thankfully, so that's good. But you can see there, that is summarised in the events, in the effects summary here. So that's really nice, and again, at a glance, you can manage what's having an influence on him and in what way as well. So that's really, really handy to see, all under one screen as well, and nicely represented to the player. You can see all the different things like zeal, cunning, authority, their age, their influence, their loyalty. So as I say, the wife is giving his influence +2 each turn, so she has got the benefits that way, but obviously as well she's giving us corruption when this general would be governing a city. All his skills are represented here as well, so the more success he has in battle, the more skill points he will acquire, and then you can assign them to different skill points here basically. Each has got 2 tiers to him, so the second tier is more powerful than the first, and obviously you can assign different points to him like that, and as I say, the more you go down, the better bonuses it gives to the general, and better influence it gives onto him and his army as well. So that's it, and they've got the disband or replace general here, records tab, which is linked to obviously what we've shown you before, and then the family tree, which links back to that as well. So nice few shortcuts you can go and click onto from there, and the rally trait is available to him. So in battle we can see what traits he has in battle, so he has a rally trait available to him from, is it from that one? Oh, is it? I don't know which one it's from actually. It's maybe from that one or from that one, I don't know. But you'll probably see as he goes down the skill tree, he'll get more and more traits available to him to use in battle. So that's good that you can see what trait he has before you actually go into the battle map actually anyway, so that's good to see. Okay, and we'll go into force details now. So force details, very similar to general's details, where it's all under one screen, very manageable for you as a player. All the skills, again, a bit like your your army traditions in Rome 2, you can manage them effectively here, clicking on them, assigning skill points to different skills. Again, better you perform in battle, the more skill points you have available to you. Now this is a new feature, integrity. So as I mentioned this to you before, integrity is how well your army is performing and feeling. So the higher the integrity, the better the morale is, and the better that army will perform on the battlefield. The lower the integrity, the less effective they'll be on the battlefield. But at the same time, the lower the integrity, the more chance that army will have of actually rebelling against you, and you do not want that, because if an army rebels again, that will erupt into a civil war. So if it goes complete to 0, that's when a civil war with the army could erupt. Now if you are concerned about that being the case, and it is getting rather precarious, you can use the decimate option, which will then, as it says, decimate increases campaign morale at the expense of 10% of your troops. So obviously you'll lose 10% of your troops, as it says, but your integrity will go right up again, morale will go back up, and hopefully the general, so the army's abilities and performance on the battlefield will improve as well. And at the same time, you'll lose 10% of your army, which could, obviously it's got its negative factor, because obviously you lose men, which could be used on the battlefield, but at the same time you would reduce the upkeep costs of that that army as well. So price would go down or cost would go down, and obviously your income per turn would go up. So it has its pluses and benefits and its minuses as well, things like that. So you can see here as well the upkeep cost per turn is available on the screen, so that's quite handy to see. So you can see exactly what armies are costing you what. So you could filter through them, and you could see which are costing you the most and say, oh, actually this army is quite expensive, it's costing me 1,554 per turn to upkeep. Let's see if we can get rid of these. Get rid of some of these units because we need to keep our costing down. So that's quite a handy thing to have. And again, on the left hand side here, you can see the effects summary and what effects from the skills and the general are affecting your army's feelings and penalties and bonuses on the left hand side there. So again, all at your fingertips to see. And that again links you back to the records tab. So that's really good. I like that, and it gives you a nice flavour to the campaign map. Okay, guys, I want to show you another little feature that's on the campaign as well. That's been put back into Attila in some form. So you can see here, I just sorted out the treaties we've got in place, and we are at war with the Visigoths, as we know. And what we can do, we can initiate diplomacy. Now we can obviously try and offer them peace, which you probably won't accept. But we've now got the option to gift them a region. So we could offer them Thessalonica as a region. Now the likelihood of success is moderate, but if we gift them that region, that will help massively towards their feelings towards us as a faction, basically. And it will help us to maybe down the line get peace with them, attain peace with them, if we desperately want to have peace with them, that is. So let's offer them that region. And they've accepted it. So now, because we've offered that region, I offered them a region before as well, before a turn before. That's why I didn't show you that basically, but I have done now. And look at that, their attitude towards us is now neutral. It's now -11 because every time you gift a region to them, it gives them 100 plus. So I've given them 2 regions, so it's obviously given them 200 towards their positive feelings towards me. So now their attitude has changed from -175 to -11. So it's now neutral. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get peace with them. It's still low, unfortunately, but it's made them that they have got a much better attitude towards us. So down the line, maybe a few more turns down the line, they could actually soften their feelings towards me, and I could obtain peace with them. So if you desperately want to get a peace treaty with a faction, you can now offer them regions. It is obviously an extreme thing to do, but it could be a last-ditch attempt to try and seal a deal with them if you're that desperate to get peace with them because they're threatening you that much. So it's a really nice feature to have back in the game in some form, and I like that. It offers you as a player a different factor to try out in your diplomacy, basically. So again, yeah, I say a nice feature that they put back in there for that basis. Because obviously I know Rome 2 didn't have the offer or gift region factor in the game, but as I say, nice to have it back in Attila. Okay guys, so I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of the buildings and the sort of regions and provinces in Attila. Very much, you're looking on the face value of it. I've selected Bethania's province here. You can see that on the face value of everything, it looks very similar to Rome 2's overview. However, there's some subtle changes which have occurred. You can see obviously here there's the buildings which are available and which are present in each region. Hover over them to increase them to the next level. Very standard, very similar to, in fact exactly the same as Rome 2. However, you've got the option now to toggle garrison details on and off, so you can actually see at a glance which units will be available to you if you were to fight a siege battle. If a faction was attacking your city, you would know exactly which units will be available to use if you were to fight a siege battle as your garrison army. So you know each specific faction, so each specific unit I should say, and you'll know exactly what penalties and what bonuses they have as individual units. You also can see what siege defences they have available as well, so you can see that this city of Ancria will have a bastion onager to use as its defence. So it's very handy to have. It gives you guys an idea, a better idea of what you can use to defend a city with, and yeah, it can basically make it, you can plan your defence a little bit easier maybe. So that's a nice feature to have put in place. And if you go onto the details tab in the bottom left corner, it's very similar to the armies and generals tab overview. It's all in one screen now, so all the information is very much clear and easy to access under the one screen, basically, all streamlined again. So religion is in the top right corner, so you know a breakdown within the province of Bithynia exactly which religion is present in the province and what influence it has over the overall sort of influence of the province, basically. So 65% is Greek Christian, etc., etc. But you can see Greek Christian is on the actual decline, and Greco-Roman paganism is on the way up. So you can monitor that just to make sure that it doesn't get too too powerful and it doesn't overtake your actual faction religion of Greek Christianity. You can see your current edict here, the security tab against agents, how easy it will be able to defend against agents on the campaign map, enemy agents that is, as well as public order. You've got your breakdown of public order here. At the moment, obviously the factors are that it's 0 and the predicted change of it will be 0, so you've got things that are giving a positive outlook and things that are giving a negative outlook to it, as well as your food. So your breakdown of what's consuming your food, what's producing food, and you know exactly the difference between it at the moment. So obviously at the moment this province is actually losing food because it's actually consuming more than it's producing. As well as your income, you can see a breakdown of how that is working out for you. And tax your province, that's how you untax or tax your province like it was before. And you can see here in the top left corner you've got your governor details, your loyalty to the faction, their influence and age, and you can then go into the actual overview screen, very much like the general overview screen, and see the breakdown of their effects and skills, what they have as a governor of that province. And if you go back, you can see here you've got a list of the 3 regions which are in this province. Obviously if there's 4, you have 4 listed instead. You can see a breakdown of each region's actual and settlements squalor levels and sanitation. These 2 are obviously positive, and this one is actually minus sort of squalor, so that's actually losing sanitation. So that settlement is essentially more prone to disease than these 2 at the moment. But what you can also do is actually rename settlements now, so you can completely rename a settlement to a completely new name if you want to change it. So for example, you can change Ancria, and I could make it that it's a bit controversial, Sparta. So there you go, and then boom, it's now called Sparta. And where is it now on the campaign map? I just want to say where it is now. It's here, the new city of Sparta. So there you go, you can rename any settlement on the game to whatever you want, basically. So yeah, a nice little implementation on the game from CA there. And you can see as well that the fertility of this province is good. So base fertility of 4. The higher the fertility, the better wealth you're going to get from agriculture, and possibly I think it may affect your population's growth, etc. Okay guys, so that's my little overview of the campaign map and its features for you done and dusted. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, please do drop a like, share it with your friends, and I hope it's given you a nice feel and flavour about what to expect when Attila comes out next month. I personally am really looking forward to this game. I think it's going to offer the player a lot more than previous titles have, and I think it's going to bring back some nice features that we wanted to see in previous titles as well. So I'm really excited about this game when it comes out next month. Of course, as I say, I'll be doing a few Let's Plays on the campaigns, and you guys will have an influence on what those will be in some faction vote videos, which will be coming out in a couple of weeks' time. And there we go. So yes, I shall leave it with you now. As I say, please remember to comment and subscribe, drop the video a like if you enjoyed it. Remember to check me up on Facebook, Twitter, and my Steam group, The Heroes of Sparta. But until next time, this is WarriorofSparta for now, saying farewell.